My dear Bagginses and Boffins, Dukes and Brandy Bugs, Rubs, Jobs, Woodenblowers, Folgers, Rayscarlos, Brownfoots.
Today we are talking about why Bilbo grew older and weaker after giving up the ring, but Gollum didn't. This is a I guess plot hole for some people that I wasn't even aware of. I've never even really thought about this too much, but I wanted to when it came across my news feed. I wanted to take a minute and talk it over with you because this one's kind of weird. I wasn't even aware that this was discourse happening.
Yeah.
Like, have you heard any of these sort of theories or even a question of why this would be?
I mean, I've wondered why actually,
Oh,
but I guess I just resolved that he just had it longer, and he was tied to it even though he didn't necessarily have it directly in his possession in a way.
yeah. Yeah, and for me I like cuz when we hear the story at the intro of I think does every movie have the same, does it tell the exact same thing about Gollum getting it and having it for about 400 years um before he lost it. Um
Yeah.
so I would just, yeah, 400 years to hold on to this immensely powerful and evil magical ring. For me, I always just thought that at that point, Gollum, the ring almost kind of corrupted his spirit and took it, and so that his life could not end until the ring was either destroyed or returned um, to Sauron. So that was sort of my thoughts, and I had just assumed that was what was going on there. But now that I'm thinking about it, I mean, we don't have any evidence of that. Although we do have the one thing I will point to is the fact that the ring bearers are allowed to and should go with the elves. To me,
Hmm.
why would that happen unless something about their spirit is corrupted or needs mending or needs some sort of medical treatment that they couldn't get in their regular means of passing away. So to me, I just thought that was maybe why those ring bearers were allowed to cross. There's just something about this ring
He
that
document how does Tolkien document how long Sam lived after, because he had the ring
yeah,
too
and
for a
and he
bit.
was
He's
also,
considered
yeah,
to
and
have
he was also
held the
allowed.
ring.
You're right. He was also allowed to cross.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll have to go take a look at that because, yeah, I actually don't know how.
I'm sure he did. I just don't know the number.
Yeah. Now, and also, I think we could say also he had it for such a short period of time that
Yep.
any, like, if I don't know how, I don't know the exact timing you need to hold a ring to gain a year of life, that kind of thing. So like he had it for maybe like a couple hours at most, right? At least that's what it
Yep.
seems like. So to me, maybe it prolonged it a little bit, or maybe like made him a little bit more youthful in his old age, but
Yep.
not to the same extent that we see Bilbo, who is like hopping around, and it's even mentioned in the books that a lot of the Shire folk are kind of resentful because Bilbo not only has gone off on these wonderful and fantastical adventures with elves and dwarves and dragons, he's also super rich from those adventures. He comes home with a bunch of rich things, and they don't
Yep.
even know this, but he's got a little vest that is worth the entirety of the Shire.
I don't think Bilbo even knows
No,
that
Bilbo
though.
doesn't even know how much that's worth. And there's always the Shire folk always have these like legends that Bilbo has like buried treasure in his house, like all this crazy stuff. So he's rich, he's had wonderful adventures, and he doesn't seem to grow old in the eyes of the hobbits. So um, he clearly had some the ring clearly had some effect on his well-being. But as the article points out, and as you and I obviously know, like Bilbo was never using this ring to prolong his life, and the feeling he got from it wasn't a good feeling. Like he didn't wear it all the time. He wasn't like obsessed with it until that moment where he tries to give it up, and that's when the ring kind of panics and really, really tries to get its hold on him, and it's a little too late because he's always just used it as it's pointed out in the article. He's always used it as a gimmick, as a kind of little parlor trick,
Mm-hmm.
fun party trick, and he uses it a little bit on his journey in The Hobbit, and then after that, he just sort of holds on to it and uses it for fun. But he doesn't know the power of this ring, right? So he's just like, to him, it's just a magical ring that it kind of feels kind of bad when he wears it. So I think for that reason, he's not like he doesn't have that same attachment to it that I think Gollum and the ring almost kind of became one in a way where Gollum literally was not his body and his soul was not allowed to die until the ring was either destroyed or returned, or something happened. Because yeah, when we do the math, he has the ring for 400 years, and then he loses it, and Bilbo has it for what we think about 60 years,
Yeah.
and then Bilbo gives it to Frodo, who holds it for about 20 years, while Gandalf goes and researches what the heck this ring is.
Yeah.
And then he comes back, and then we have the Lord of the Rings. And so that whole time, Bilbo is still alive, and so yeah, like it's not that Bilbo just suddenly died after giving up the ring. He still had prolonged life even after giving up the ring. But I think what
Do you
this
think do you think Bilbo just started aging from 50 onward at
oh,
that
that's
point?
a good question.
So
Um,
so so when we see him in Fellowship in Rivendell, that's like kind of a 70-year-old
oh, maybe,
Bilbo,
yeah.
and then when he's getting on the boats, he's like a 74 or 75-year-old Bilbo. He aged a lot in that past
He
40
did. You're right.
years.
Maybe that's what it was. Maybe once he gave up the ring.
Or the ring being actually that's another thought. He aged that rapidly after the ring was destroyed
Yeah, see,
too.
that's what I thought. That's what
Hmm.
I was about to say. Is I thought that he was, because he made the trip by himself to Rivendell from the Shire,
Yeah.
and that must have taken, like, cause like if you read these books, they literally stop and stay the night at like every house they come to. Like that's sort of like that's like sort of the way of these hobbits. And even when they get to Bree, they have to like meet with everyone. And even the books make a big deal about when Bilbo does decide to leave, and he's leaving a bunch of stuff to people. It's this huge ordeal, and so this is just like a common like practice that the Shire folk have, where like you just have to talk with people, and heck, even Frodo, Sam, Merry, and Pippin do it um, with um, with a farmer that they come across
Yep.
when they're out at night, in instead of being chased out of there by Farmer Maggot like in the movie, they're a little bit cozier.
Well, Farmer Make's like a kind of an important character even
Yeah, yeah.
in the
He
books. Yeah.
actually is. He's able to shelter them and then kind of give them safe passage and kind of give them.
He's buddies with Tom Bombadil, isn't he? If I
I think
remember
he
that.
knows of them. A lot of people know of Tom
Yeah.
Bombadil, but they don't know who he is. They think he's a hermit that lives in the woods. They don't realize that he is. I mean, I don't know, but he seems like God. Okay, like he seems a bit powerful over there in the woods. The fact that he's unaffected by the ring is just, um, I mean, that's I think that's ultimately why he was cut, because that you guys were talking about them flying the eagles to Mordor. The bigger question: why not give it to him and tell him to go to Mordor? Which we could maybe cover. That'd be kind of fun, because they actually do talk about that in the books. They say we could try this, and they're like, Tom won't do it. He just doesn't care. Like, he's not a part of this. So that's how they kind of explain it away.
Yeah,
To me, that's not enough of an
they
explanation.
seem to imply he would just like lose it because
Yeah.
he cared so little.
Yeah,
Like,
like
what?
he's
Where
so
did that
like
thing go?
he asks Frodo to see this ring. He's like immediately like, "Oh, cool ring." He holds it. He's like, "Okay, that was cool." And he like gives it back, and it's like, "Wait, what are you talking about? That's like the super powerful ring that corrupts people immediately." And you thought it was kind of cool and gave it back. I mean, yeah, so they kind of think maybe he'll lose it, but also they do seem to imply that like he just is not, like, this is not his fight, and this, like, he's not a part of what goes on in the rest of Middle Earth. But the fact that then at the end of the Lord of the Rings book series, Gandalf does say, and this is why Gandalf is not at the end when the hobbits return to the Shire, he says he's got to go talk to Tom Bombadil about a lot of important things. And it's like, what? Why? He doesn't. If he didn't care about this ring, why would he care about these important? Like, to me, I don't really get Tom Bombadil being in the book. If you're going to introduce him as this all powerful guy, then say he's not involved, and at the end say Gandalf has to go there because Gandalf can't be involved at the final confrontation with the Hobbit. Like, it's kind of strange to me, but that's a bit of a different thing. But yeah, I think ultimately the ring does have different powers that people in Middle Earth, and even maybe we, are not aware of just how it operates, because it does seem to suggest that it like amplifies certain aspects of you. And as the article points out, that Smeagol, Gollum, or Smeagol as he was before he became Gollum, was not a very nice person to begin with. And
Yeah.
and so
So it's like alcohol.
yeah. But like there's that scene. It's one of the, like there's a handful of creepy scenes in Lord of the Rings. One is when Bilbo asks Frodo if he can see the ring in Rivendell. That's really
Yeah.
scary. I still get scared of
It's
that
a jump
scene.
scare,
Yeah, it's a super good jump scare because you are not expecting that in this movie for sure. And then the other one comes when Frodo offers it to Galadriel, and she's like,
Yeah.
"You offer it to me freely," and then she just like all of a sudden she just like gets super ghostly and like ominous and starts screaming in like these like she's almost got like three voices coming from her, and she's screaming about she's gonna be, instead of a Dark Lord, you'll have a queen. And it's just like, whoa, what's going on? That's scary. But also it does sort of imply and show that like it's not just invisibility. She would then have powers that she's not able to tap into just yet, but they're like, it would amplify what she can do to the point that she could do some serious magical damage, I guess, to the world. So I think that's also a part of it. Whereas a Hobbit, and especially Bilbo, who is kind of happy-go-lucky, kind of, you know, yeah, he was just sort of like a fun guy. He didn't really have anything for the ring to amplify and really grasp a hold of him. And I think at the end, like really the only thing was Bilbo wanting to have adventures, and I think that's where the ring kind of tried to suck him in and say, you need this ring on your adventure, or something like that. And that's why it was so hard for him to give it up. But
But yeah, he probably would have died in The Hobbit if he didn't have that ring. So
exactly. And I think that's really all the ring and him shared, was that
you know,
that ring bailed him out, and then it kind of was fun at a party, but he didn't wear it like ever. Like it wasn't like he was always invisible running around the Shire like doing weird stuff. Like he wasn't that kind of person. So, or that kind of hobbit. So I think that's like the ring, it's not just invisibility. It is for the hobbits, but for other people and other beings, it does amplify their abilities and amplify their potential. And so a part of me always wonders what Aragorn or Boromir could do with it. Like,
Mhm.
are they all of a sudden like these macho guys like that cannot be defeated in battle, or like what? How much does it give you abilities? Because there is some magicalness to Aragorn in the books. He's got some healing power within him, but they don't really talk about that in the movies, so that's maybe not don't need to go into that right here. Yeah, ultimately I think it does just kind of come down to how these two interacted with the ring, and the fact that Gollum became obsessed with it, and it did become a part of him, where he ultimately was part of the ring and the ring was part of him.
Yeah, and it turned him into like a murderer immediately.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So he wasn't a nice dude to begin with, and then yeah,
Uh-huh.
he becomes a murderer instantly, and he's not even holding it. It's just
Yeah.
in his presence, and he's instantly corrupted. And I think just that element, that there are people who are just potentially more susceptible to the ring's ability like that, where you just have to be in its vicinity, and it can really draw you in. And we see a little bit of that. I don't know how accurate it is to the books, because to me, I didn't really see this in the books too much. But in the movies, we see Boromir um have like, it almost looks like he's having a headache when he like looks at the ring. You know what I mean? Like he's got the
Yes.
scene. He's got the scene in Rivendell. He's got the scene when they are going up the mountain prior to Moria, and he picks up the ring on its chain, and that's when he has that line. Like it's curious that we have to suffer for something so small, and
Mhm.
and that's when Aragorn's like, give the ring to Frodo, and like has his hand on the sword, because like Boromir looks like he's kind of getting a little bit possessed by it, and he's not holding it. It's on a chain. It's just near him. So yeah. Now Boromir has other things going on um that are important to his character. That it's not just, he doesn't just want it to have it for whatever, like Smeagol did. Boromir has other ideas for it, but it's definitely causing him mental stress, and it's unclear if Aragorn's having that same mental stress. He seems pretty strong, but maybe he's fighting through it. And I don't even know if Gimli or Legolas don't even seem to notice it.
Yeah. Mhm.
So maybe certain people are just more susceptible to it, and also what their goals are for it. Maybe, I don't know, but
Yeah.
yeah. I think that's gonna about wrap it up here. Let us know in the comments down below what you guys think. I honestly, I don't know. I don't have any other theories other than what's described here, because I really haven't come across this conundrum before. It does just seem to me to be a case about who had it more, and who is using it more. But if you guys have other theories, we'd love to hear them, and subscribe for our next video.
I regret to announce this is the end. I bid you all a very fond farewell.